the afternoon. Nikki's going to have her first shot at focusing and getting the zoom in, and I think she's doing a great job to start with. Very hot afternoon at the moment, and it's about 30 degrees Celsius, and that's about high 80s in the Fahrenheit. And James is just getting a hold of me now quickly on the Game Drive radio, so let me just chat with him. Go ahead, James. Copy, thanks very much for that update, James. Well, great news from James. He says there's a breeding herd of elephants making their way towards us, and there's a massive elephant bull trailing them. And you'll notice Nikki's panning the camera across to the right-hand side of the vehicle. There's a very cute little giraffe here, so it appears the quarantine clearings are the place to be for all the youngsters. And aren't they such wonderful animals? This one's gently chewing on a leaf. A young bull, you can see from that little protrusion on his belly. And he's enjoying feeding on an apple leaf tree or a rain tree. Don't worry, his mom's not too far away. She's just on the other side of the road. But it's interesting with giraffe, it's not uncommon for them to be quite far from their mothers. Posing very similarly to the giraffe's bottom. And they're making their way towards us. Oh, well done, Nikki spotted the youngster coming across to join up with Mom. And isn't it wonderful that James got to see this herd of elephants that are in the background whilst on his bushwalk, I'm guessing. And they were skirting past quite close to our camp. And it's quite risky business dealing with breeding herds of elephants in thick bush on a windy day, and that's probably why he avoided them and called us in the vehicle. Oh, great, you can see the elephant's head right through the gap there between the two giraffe. What a great start this is. Well, we're in no rush to get to those elephants. They're actually feeding towards us, so that's the good news, and we'll probably be afforded with much better visuals if we're just a little bit patient. And look at this. Nikki, you're doing a great job on camera, and I'm very surprised by your skills so far. This is a sickle bush that she is feeding on. It's got quite large spines, and this tree is responsible for giving us more punctures than any other. It's a very hard wood. You may notice a few tiny little colorful kind of blobs, and those are old flowers that have already come and gone. You just see like a little bit of yellow remaining, a little yellow cone. There we go. So those are the old flowers. They are pink and white as they blossom through the season. But this tree has already finished with that business and is now providing this female giraffe with a tasty meal. As a general rule, small leaves are tasty, and small leaves on trees with spines and thorns are going to be the tastiest because they are looked after by the security of the thorns and spines.
Thinking 3. Well, everybody, welcome to the bushwalk, my second for the day. That's quite unusual that we have to walk this sort of distance twice in a day. But Andrew Francis has gone down. The drone commander is lying in bed, recuperating, and on his first bushwalk today is Tebbs. That is neither Tebbs or I that you are looking at there. We're looking at two little bee-eaters, beautiful, beautiful little birds. And the other day when Brent and I had a competition for the most colourful bird, I was hoping to see one of these, and one of the colours, I don't know if you can see there or not, is a lovely azure blue that is on the back of their little swallow sort of tails. Not quite as blue as the swallow-tailed bee-eater has, but there is a bit of blue there. Just stunning little birds. And what you'll notice is that that little one of them flew off, and Tebs didn't follow it, thankfully, because that would make you seasick. But what they do is they go and they hawk an insect out of the air, and then they often come back to exactly the same perch. So let's just see there, off and back again. Isn't that great? There you can see the lovely blue color on the back now.
The ellies are still close by, so don't worry, we are going to get to see them shortly, but we need to make the most of all the different opportunities and animals here. Beautiful long eyelashes. She's busy feeding on another thorny tree called a knobthorn acacia tree, and it looks like, judging by the height of this tree, it continually gets stunted by a giraffe. It's just the perfect height for a giraffe to feed on. And it's not uncommon to find trees like this that are stunted by certain animals, the tastier of the trees. Looks to me like there's quite a few big bulls actually in this area, so what we may find, this one closest to us is a bull. He's not a monster, but he's quite big, and what's interesting is that there's a few bulls here, and where you find a few bulls congregating, it could be that there is a lady up for grabs. Elephant bulls will move freely without any major roles or responsibilities with females and the herds, but when the opportunity to mate arises, they tend to start tagging along with the ladies and seeing if they can't get lucky.
Now, two of the smallest creatures out here in the bush, of course, are Tebs and I, standing at 5'8" me, 5'7" for Tebs, respectively, and those dwarf mongoose, of course, are even smaller than us. The smallest carnivore in Africa, and I think the big thing to know about them is that they are known, well, they are carnivores, but you perhaps don't think of them as carnivores. And carnivore, quite apart from meaning meat eater, it is actually an order of animals to which the dogs and the cats and the hyenas, the mongooses, the weasels, and all those sorts of animals belong. So they're all related in some way, very distantly, and that's the smallest representative from the order Carnivora that we have here in Africa. And they're very precious little things. And a little troop that we saw yesterday had produced some pups. Lovely buffalo bulls chewing the cud. They will have drunk substantially while they've been here. And then just above them, of course, we've got a few more buffalo, one in the actual pan, and then two more lying in the shade. Now, it hasn't been a very hot day. It's been mercifully cool, probably only about 28 degrees, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, I would say roughly that. And so the buffalo are not looking nearly as stressed, and there probably isn't nearly as much activity around here. Now, just before we head across to Scott, there is a very interesting thing going on there that I would like to approach, but I'm not going to because the buffalo are in the way. There are two Nyala there. Can you see them there, Tibbs? Just they're up the other side of the road there. Those two Nyala are engaged in what passes for a fight for the Nyala. They are doing a little dance around each other in a circle, and I'm not sure how well you can see it. Is it right? Now you can see it actually really beautifully. They're miles away from us, and they're doing a little dance around to sort of for dominance. And it's a wonderful thing to see up close, because they try and avoid any kind of physical contact, and very few antelope do. I mean, the antelope are renowned for having some fairly vicious fights, but these Nyala, that's just kind of how they do it. This very slow, ponderous, almost slow motion dressage, pas de deux. Ridiculous. Of course, Brent Leo Smith and I have engaged in something quite similar around the fireside chat.
She's not looking hugely impressed with the weather conditions at the moment. And she is not in the best condition, that is for sure. She's an old lady, this, and a little bit moth-eaten around the edges. I believe she has been called cork recently, as when it's not swelteringly hot, she places herself right at the entrance to one of the burrows, blocking the hole, much like a cork. And that's a recent development. So interesting stuff going on with these hyenas, and like I said, I just thought we'd pop in here to have a quick check on what was going on. You never know what exactly is going to happen out here. And I was actually pleasantly surprised to find anyone here. And, well, Paul, you read my mind. Ooh, what's going on here? Because Paul, just a few moments ago, did say, and wonder whether I was going to bring Nikki here. This is interesting. What can you hear? What do you know that's going on nearby, lady? All of a sudden, just like that, in the middle of the heat of the day, she's got up and she's listening very intently. Maybe she can hear alarm calls. Maybe it sounds like a leopard has made a kill nearby. Or maybe something's approaching. Something has unnerved her. What's wrong? Is there another hyena approaching, or are you going back to your, I think it's time to play corky? You want to go back to the other side of the termite mound and plug the hole where your youngsters are sleeping.
Now everybody, I actually cannot tell you what's going on there, and it's because what we're looking at, that's the sort of full super zoom that you're looking at with the camera, and I actually can't investigate closer than that. It looks like a fly with those big sort of evil looking eyes, sitting on some other kind of hapless insect, and that's having, if you look at the far rear of it, it looks like it's got those sort of grasshopper like femurs. And I wonder if it isn't a grasshopper of some sort of cricket that is being devoured by a carnivorous fly. There they are, through there. Just getting slightly alarmed. We're only about, I'd say about 40 meters from them. So about 130 feet, which from an antelope in the bush, for the apex predator to get that close is quite something. And it's because I think our body language is such that they just don't see us as a threat, which is so wonderful. Now I know, I'm not sure the impression that you're getting, and I'm sure everybody will feel slightly different about how they feel about a sighting like this on foot. It's difficult to describe. It really does touch you, because there's this animal, totally wild, there's nothing domestic about it, and it has accepted our presence. It's not interacting with us, but it's accepted our presence and is not threatened. It's not running away in terror, and there's just a real sense of privilege. Here comes a little one, a little calf. Look at a beautiful color in the soft light.